All right, this is Into Tony with me, Anthony Olensky. Today's guest is Vincent Hus. I've known Vincent for a while now, since we were like, I don't know, like adolescents or something like that, right?
For sure.
And Vince has always been up to something, hustling, building. He's built three companies already, and now he's up to building another one. You just flew in from San Francisco, and a lot of European entrepreneurs and founders aspire to, go to the Valley, or at least they did, right, before COVID. So I wanted to ask you, how is it being there? How was it being there? How is it post COVID? And is it still worth going there? Is Silicon Valley still the place to be for tech entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So, um, I mean, for me, the simple reason why to go there is like I just wanted to see it. I just want to see how people build companies there. I wanted to see how where Elon, where Steve Jobs, where they walked, and how it is, and are these series like on HBO, Silicon Valley, the truth, right? I got very lucky because I looked up an Airbnb on Airbnb, which was called a hacker home. And what turned out, if you're familiar with Silicon Valley, the series, the owner of the place consulted HBO on the creation of the Silicon Valley series. So um, I was actually in the real Silicon Valley hacker home, so to speak. So in that sense, my experience in Silicon Valley started right away in that way. The classics are there, of course. You have a swimming pool, jacuzzi with a bunch of tech nerds, so to say, of which I'm the biggest. So in that sense, it's true.
Was there someone who ran the house? Like it was you and who?
Yeah,
Like,
Vic, the best guy you've ever met.
was he like, I forgot the name of the guy who was in the show Silicon Valley, the guy
Yeah,
who
Erlich
had curly hair?
Bachman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So he doesn't live there anymore because he has multiple properties, but he's the owner of the house.
Okay.
And right now it's of course tech bear market. So so in the last 2 years everybody went away from the valley, and then now you have the tech crash. So what does it do? Of course I cannot compare how it was before, but what I know is that like everybody is a bit on edge, but also everybody is like more like keen and motivated maybe because of that. Because like the days of like going on holiday are over, and everybody is in the office or where I work is the hacker dojo. You like that's really a legendary place, by the way. Like if you ever go to
You
Silicon
guys have a
Valley.
house, a swimming pool, everything.
Yeah, but so these are two different things, right? The hacker dojo, that's the place where I work. So that's like a sort of, so Steve Jobs Wozniak joined at some point on the co-founder of Apple joined on the Zoom of the hacker dojo, and said, yeah, like because so I want to really support the hacker dojo. It's a cause that's dear to my heart because there's a bunch of programmers who are working on exploring new technologies. Everybody comes together for talks or exchange things on meetups, or like me building a new startup.
But is it
Um,
like, and okay, before we get to Steve, or the walls and why he showed up at the hacker, or like the hacker dojo, the place where you lived, was it like a tech bro house, or was it, how does it work? Because in the show it's like four dudes living
sure.
together, like everyone is coding hardcore and trying to figure out like what the next $1 billion idea is going to be. Did you
Yeah.
feel that grind and hustle when you're living there, or not
So,
necessarily?
so, so, like, not everybody was building startups, but everybody was interested in them, and that's different than with like the roommates I've lived so far with uh in Europe. Yes, I would say so. Everybody is technical, that's for sure, and
Mm.
everybody works very hard. But what people do differs. So some people are geologists or machine learning scientists at Stanford, postdocs, or students, or they just sold their company. Um, I have to.
How many were you like living under one roof?
So I think I was living with 12 people. Yeah,
Okay, it's a big house.
yeah.
Do you have your own?
There was also one guy from the Netherlands actually, who I never met, but was literally in my university same years. So we were like Gijs de Bruin's name. And shout
So,
out to you.
so for context, you're half Dutch and you grew up in the
Yeah,
Netherlands. Yeah.
yeah, I'm half Dutch, half Polish, although Polish is my first language.
Really?
Yeah, so my parents decided to learn me Polish first because otherwise I would never learn it again. So when I was like 4 or 5 years old, then I went to school and then I learned Dutch. Although, as you've probably noticed, my Dutch or English
Yeah.
better than my Polish now. But it didn't always be. It wasn't always that Polish was my second or third language. Now it is, but it was always yeah, my
All
first.
right.
So I had to relearn it when I came to Poland when I was like 16. I was like, what the truth is that the New Year's parties in Poland are the best of the world, the best in the world, and especially if you're young. So like I was when I turned 16 and 15 and I could go to these New Year's parties, I was very keen to spend my Christmas in Poland instead of the Netherlands.
All right. So you come visit family, and that's why you're here, right? Because it's Christmas time. You can see the Christmas
Yeah,
tree
exactly.
on my left,
Yeah.
and
Sorry, I will
better than
never.
Silicon Valley parties. Just going back to the whole thing, I just wanna.
So yeah, I can tell you about Silicon Valley. So the Hacker Dojo, right? So I one of the few first days I was at the Hacker Dojo, and it was a Saturday, and I thought, okay, I want to finish up some work, so Saturday evening I'll go back to the office. And I arrived at the office, and there was something weird going on. I was outside,
Mm.
and disco lights. Um, what's going on? So I step inside. There's 30 people, 15 people. There's hard techno on the background, like um, disco lights, techno music. 15
Mm.
people coding, 15 people gaming, and that was like one of the first nights there. But the first evening I was at the Hacker Dojo. Now I know that during the week this is also the case. Like at 12 o'clock, the office lights go off and the party lights go on, but everybody's coding. It's like some people are build like so. There's like also robot workbenches, right? So people are building robots with AI, machine learning, vision, or like robots that shoot ping pong balls. Like everybody's like building stuff.
But did you? So you felt this like it's the spirit of Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
This thing like this almost like I don't know, godlike, but ephemeral. Like people feeling that it's a special place and that you're surrounded by all these incredible individuals. So you're saying they're still there or they're still coming.
yeah.
And did you feel this level of I don't know, intellectual like, how like to what extent is it different to what you experienced in the past? Like was it
Hmm.
I guess it was worth it, but is it
Yeah.
still special or is it still the place to be? Like could you have experienced that or have you experienced that before living in I don't know London or Amsterdam or Warsaw or not really?
No. So I mean, what I just explained. This place does not. I have never seen this before. This does not exist
Okay.
in London, Warsaw, Amsterdam. Like not especially like not
But
the
why?
the, the coder part. Like people like building and geeking out on cool stuff, and so but also the roommates, right? So like what books are people reading? Like everything is about startups. If even if you're going out and you go like with the more so like I have both like geeky and more party sides of myself as
Yeah.
you well know. Like even if I'm like going for drinks with yeah lawyer types, even they are like completely focused on startups. They say, yeah, I'll advise you for free until you're Series A, or we want to do the IPO and we will not charge you any fees.
Everyone is focused on
So,
equity, huh?
well, like they want to have like yeah, everybody speaks the same language.
Yeah.
Whether it's your roommates or lawyers you're going out with or people at the Hacker Dojo, everybody is focused on building startups and like building
The dojo
technology.
is like kind of like a WeWork kind of setup where you just kind of co-working space where you just show up and you have coffee or whatever and you just work on your thing and everyone else does the same, right?
Yeah, well, yes, but then it's very underground and very like it's more like it's a mix between a WeWork and an engineering lab, um, and
You have to be technical to be part of it.
a Berlin tech bunker, like a techno bunker, like party.
Whoa.
That's how I would see it. It's like there's graffiti on the walls. Like it is a little. It's definitely not a WeWork. WeWork is nice. WeWork is fancy. This is like raw. This is for the like. This is for the hackers. So you have like
It's only technical people, only hackers. Like
mostly, yeah,
if I was, trying to build with my buddy another like I don't know, food delivery business, which is mainly
people do
operation.
that. It does happen. Yeah, there are people that are building food delivery businesses right now in the Hacker Dojo.
Again?
Yes.
What are they building? Like
So
DoorDash, Uber Eats, they're doing it already. And
yeah, I
I mean,
know.
it
Like,
doesn't mean like you cannot do it, right? Like innovation is, but like, what's the if you have like an inside scoop? I'm curious, what's the next thing for food delivery, or have you seen the future in the valley? Maybe that's a better question.
so here, like, okay, about the food delivery. I didn't know how interesting that is.
Yeah.
To be fair, what's interesting is the social networking platform. So people are out there wanting to take on Facebook, Instagram, and actually with short form audio. So like right now you see that TikTok invent or like really figured out the format and the algorithm to build short form video.
Mm.
And there are people working on that on audio. And I think that's very interesting. Um the like AI is I would say not a hype right now, but so the new Chat GPT 3 and and Stable Diffusion. So here's what I thought was interesting. People were not necessarily in the Silicon Valley, at least, not necessarily creating startups of it or with it or like purposely around it, but using it as a tool set for your platform. So let's say you have to generate a bunch of content or to get like to solve the how do you call that the how do you call it, the cold start problem, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay, yo, boom, I just use the ChatGPT API and generate a bunch of content, or like integrate these algorithms in my platform, or also in audio, by the way, also in audio. So you combine, let's say, ChatGPT 3 to generate stories like that take like 30-40 minutes, and then you use another software API to read it out in a natural format. So people using it as really as tools, and yeah, that was interesting. The other thing, sorry,
Yeah.
which I did not expect, because in Europe, people are not so bullish on crypto. Like maybe it's self-selective. I'm not. I
Well,
like
not now, right? Like maybe people were,
no,
but
like like I wasn't too much. I have to say I did program a bit in Solidity, so the Ethereum language, and the first night I did that, I was like, "Oh my god, this will change the world." Why? Is because you can program money. So you're literally writing code, and I can specify, so this money exists in the code.
mm.
It's not I have to call the software of a bank and then send it via the bank to you. No, the software, the code, I can send with my own code money to you.
Or
And
you can just invent money. You're saying that you can create some
yeah,
kind
yeah, with
of
Ethereum, I can literally program money. I can program to send you money if something happens. So it's a little
not
difficult
actual
to.
money, like
No,
right?
real money. Like Ethereum, I consider Ethereum and Bitcoin. I consider real money.
Okay.
Like, I mean, yeah, and that, or even if they were in an earlier phase, that concept is revolutionary. I do believe that. But in terms of like all the other stuff out there, they don't create economic value. So like in the end, if like there was this huge speculation, but it's not tied to real monetary value in the
So you're
sense
saying,
of.
but you're trying to say that in Europe people are not really bullish on
Oh,
crypto,
sorry,
and
yeah.
that in
No, to finish my point. So in when I was at these tech events in San Francisco, there's also another different point. Is, by the way, and I'll tie into that, is the VCs in San Francisco. They give a lot of parties, and all the entrepreneurs, they come to those parties. Luckily, they're all paid for, so you can save on cash if you're like coming from Europe and you don't have much money. Anyways, side joke, maybe not funny.
I don't know
Um,
if you get. So you're saying you get
so,
booze, food, everything.
yeah,
The only thing you
exactly.
have to do is wake up, get a burrito, and then survive on it for like 8
Yeah,
hours, and you go to an
if you play it
event.
smart, if you play, yeah, definitely possible. I saved a lot of money that way, but to finish the point, so but 30% of the people are doing crypto there.
Mm.
At least what I saw, and that's like way too much, I think. And also it's way more than in Europe. And
Or even
I
in November, like with all this,
yeah
Sam Bankman and all
yeah
that shit.
yeah. It's literally 30%, and like I'm a little bit like that my eyes roll over. No, not another crypto guy, you know.
Why? Do you know
Um,
why they're so bullish on it?
a lot of people feel that it's a um, new software paradigm, right? Like we went from PC computers that sort of like very desktop computers to internet connected computers to mobile phones and mobile apps, and how people see blockchain as the new paradigm, the new move in the software paradigm, where you can, and if you're early in that paradigm, you can build a very big company and make a larger impact on society.
Yeah, okay, I get that, but is there some because everyone can have this or like people can think about crypto in this way if they're in Venezuela, if they're in Europe or wherever, but
Mm-hmm.
is there a part are the crypto funds still very active? Like
Yeah,
Andreessen has its own fund, right, in crypto,
yeah,
and are they really they Andreessen being a venture capitalist firm,
yeah.
is that why 30% of the people you've met over there are still working on crypto because there is this incentive to think about it? Because then, like, if you start building it, you attract the money and it's kind of like a snowball effect.
But do you think that it's because of the VCs that they are leading the? So do you think that? So are you asking?
I think it's a vicious circle. And like in Europe, that because I don't think, or it became easy, but it's still harder to raise in Europe than it is in the
Mm-hmm.
US.
Yeah.
Um, so people don't really go into crypto because they already know like the barriers to entry are so high and no one's going to believe in this, or very few people do.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas over there, or like in the valley, it's like there's a hype that's being not only pushed or like fueled by entrepreneurs themselves, but also the other side
Mm-hmm.
of like the industry, which is venture capital, right?
Yeah. Like, so I would say there is a lot of VCs. So there is a parallel. I don't know who is first.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
No, of course. I'm just saying it's like it's weird because you also have like the
but
Peter Thiel types in the valley, right? Who kind of
yeah,
think or they're building some ridiculous thing that's gonna maybe work out or not, but because there are people like Peter Thiel who have a fuck ton of money,
yeah,
and they're just gonna think, okay, this person looks like they know what they're doing, and also the idea is crazy, but might be worth it. I'm gonna give them like 100K because
yeah,
for them it's like it's pocket money.
yeah. So so the first thing what surprised me was that the crypto was so big in the people who were doing it, but it's decentralized. So theoretically, you could raise money from the internet, do an initial coin offering, and not be dependent on VCs.
Mm.
The second thing, which my eyes were even wider, is that the VCs took it seriously. So, but here's the question: who, maybe they are right. Maybe they do something that I don't know that you don't. What's your view on crypto? What do you think about
I don't know shit about it. I
it?
just I mean I just kind of I guess I was more in
Do
the
you have crypto? Did you ever buy it?
no, I was more on the conservative side. I was working on like leveraging blockchain for payments in the energy industry
Hmm.
back in 2017, 18.
Oh wow!
But I never
So you did do a deep dive in it. You know something about it.
yes. But I didn't have any savings to invest at that time. I was an intern. I was broke. I was a student.
Yeah.
And then when I did have money, I was okay. That was when I had more kind of money to think about where would I want to invest it. I was when COVID hit, right? And
Hmm.
you had all the meme stocks, and that was also interesting to kind of look at versus just going to crypto. But I always felt I was skeptical, and in terms of risk taking, I do enjoy taking risk in life,
Yeah.
and seeking adventure, all that stuff. But in terms of risking my money and like really kind of just saying, okay, cool, like this new thing, crypto is out there. I might throw a few thou on it.
Uh huh.
I haven't. I haven't ventured into like that kind of area of risk or like financial risk. I haven't really taken because yeah, I haven't been like I guess loaded yet enough to kind of just splurge money. I was mainly living from paycheck to paycheck, and then I started building up savings, and started thinking, and then I left my job and I started burning money again just on myself and all the traveling.
Yeah.
But like
Good times.
but yeah, but it's in terms of kind of risk taking in the financial sense, I just use like ETFs.
Okay.
So yeah,
Why?
that's because again, I just dump the money there, and it kind of like I don't have to really think about it.
Yeah, it's smart.
And but I do want to once I find my new place where I'm gonna go in the new year,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna start working again, right, and have a set up like even my own tax base somewhere.
Mhm.
Then I really want to get into investing because recently I've been also in
Okay.
the past like 4 years I've been moving around so much
Yeah.
that the hassle of like looking at like, okay, invest here, where do you pay taxes, all that shit. I was just like,
Mhm.
okay, I don't want to deal with this. But at some point, yeah, you got to be smart. You got to start thinking of your financial future and putting away whatever 20% of your salary, right? That's what people recommend.
Yeah.
Either into a savings account or start investing yourself. And I think I also just it took me time to build up the knowledge to actually start investing in instruments like say crypto or stocks. But I was always skeptical of crypto, and because I had not a lot, but I had some friends
So
who
you're also you're very
yeah, because I
skeptical.
have
Yeah.
friends who like also created their own coins, right? And I
Yeah.
know how much bullshit there is, and like I mean I like them, and but I knew that they're very cynical about it, and I knew
Yeah.
they just want to get rich quickly,
Yeah.
and I thought, okay, if these guys are doing this to other people, like I wasn't sure of it, but sometimes the way that it was described with this friend doing that, I was like, okay, like I might end up being, fucked too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I just didn't want to bother with it.
But you did do a deep dive into crypto in the or blockchain. So some people say blockchain is something different than crypto, and
Smart
blockchain.
contracts, smart contracts. Namely,
Okay.
I looked mainly
And
into that.
but
Yeah,
do you so there is a lot of so we have now this new clean tech boom, and there's a lot of about I think there's like 100 startups doing this. But the
yeah.
typical or governments also the typical use case is that you can verify how much CO2 like CO2 you can buy or like how can
Yeah, that's the whole technology right behind blockchain of
what was your assessment at the time back then? What did you think of it?
I was all for it. We had I was an intern at this big energy transmission distribution DSO, distribution systems operator. Yeah, that's what it stands for. And they had a massive budget, and they were looking
Hmm.
into different ways of how they could help develop microgrids,
Hmm.
or like leverage renewable energy resources on the edges of the grid, to create these microgrids for communities that don't have access to, or like at the end of the power grid. And how do you help them with the billing system in terms of like selling energy to each other? There are a few startups like this that started like years ago. So there's one in like LO3 Energy in New York, where you had like one block in Brooklyn, in a like a big, I don't know, like apartment block, and they had the sun on their side all the time. I don't know, they kind of don't remember the story exactly,
Hmm.
but solar panels, they would get the energy, and then they would sell the surplus to the other block that was in the shade and didn't
I
need.
see. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's kind of using that as like
but that's even interesting because there are so the unique value proposition that you bring there to the table is you provide an infrastructure to do this to communities. But then the question is, why do you need to do this in blockchain? Why don't you have an app to do this?
well, it's the fact of like it was also associated with like EV charging, right? And I can just plug myself in and have my digital wallet kind of pay directly through via the blockchain, and like how it kind of the meter system is connected, and it's all automatized through like this permissionless, and like my digital identity being there that I can just plug into any socket and they immediately know who
Yeah,
I am.
true. But so here I do have the problem actually with it because
I'm not an expert. I'm just
yeah,
saying, and
yeah,
like I
because
don't think
no,
you want to
but
go
like
into this.
now it reminds me again of of a lot of these thoughts I have. Like, so you don't need blockchain for that.
You're probably right. Yeah,
Because
I was a fucking intern. You know, I was
no,
like,
no, no. I'm not saying that to you, but like I'm saying that in general. That most of these concepts, they're saying, yeah, this has to be on the blockchain because otherwise it wouldn't work. But like it would work without blockchain. It probably would work faster and better.
I totally agree. Same
So
thing with like now they're
yeah,
creating banks for people to keep their crypto, which is kind of like just having like money in a bank. And the idea of crypto was about having it completely decentralized and like
yeah,
disrupting the system. We don't need financial institutions anymore. And now they're doing exactly the same thing. I
yeah.
get it. That's why I was like overall skeptical, and I kind of read or listen to like the older folks, like the financial wolves of Wall Street
Well,
from
so
like like the
yeah,
90s or
Jordan
whatever.
Belfort. It's also my main source of
No,
financial
no,
information.
not
Just kidding.
fuck off. Not him, but
Just
like
kidding.
whatever. Jamie Dimon saying like I don't know, like right the chairman now, I don't know if he's still
Yeah,
CEO
he's
of
very
like
smart.
of JP Morgan, and he was like, I don't believe in this shit. And I was
Yeah,
like, okay, this guy probably knows what he's saying.
yeah.
Um but then
Well,
again, I could have gotten really rich if I just went into it like in 2018.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
whatever, like still gonna happen. It's you gotta believe. But okay, going back, 1/3 is crypto people.
Yeah,
2/3, what the fuck are they doing over there?
clean tech. So,
What are you doing, maybe?
yeah, I'll go into that also. But like, um, the other very big segment is clean tech. So like, um, it's partly fueled also by John Doerr, I believe his name is. So
The guy from Kleiner Perkins, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
he just invested $1.5 billion into Stanford to build a new climate school of technology, and a lot of that, also a large portion of that, is in venture. So all the Stanford MBAs or the students are all building climate tech startups right now. And
For example, what's an example of a climate tech startup for people who have no idea what the fuck climate tech is?
so um, it is something that either decreases the greenhouse gas emissions and ensures that we stay below the, or that, like, the latest definition is actually not that we keep the keep the, how do you call that, the temperature rise above certain levels, but there's also climate disruption, right? Some regions get colder, drier. There's multiple levels to look at, or like environmental impact. But that makes, in general, to a climate tech startup, is that makes the planet better, but also makes money. Like these two things at the same time. That's the easiest way to look at it. And that's the second area where I've also ventured a lot in. So I looked at creating fish out of stem cells, and I called it kind biotechnologies. So
Kind biotechnologies.
yeah, that's how I started.
Kind, kind
Yeah,
like
I
kindness.
pivoted since then.
All right.
I can tell you why.
Yeah.
But the basic premise is that 15% of greenhouse gas emissions worldwide are created by animal farming. And we are killing billions of animals each year, which are all sentient beings, right? They have feelings, they feel fear, they feel pain, and we're killing billions of them in years, and that's very bad. Like, I think, yeah. So that's that. So why fish? Well, so it's great if we can create meat in the lab out of stem cells. You take a small biopsy of cells out of your muscles. So what is a hamburger? A hamburger is muscle and fat cells. So what do you have to do? So you grab a bunch of cells, both fat, which is called adipose tissue, and muscle cells, where you take actually the precursor stem cells. So what you do is
Wait, where did you mention Oedipus?
adipose. So that's the fat cells.
Okay.
Yeah. So because the hamburger is fat, yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
So, so what you do is you take the, so stem cells have the property that they can multiply, or called or they can proliferate very fast. So they can double very fast. The downside of pure stem cells is that they can become anything. So they can become an eye, or a kidney cell, or a bone cell. They can become everything. So the downside of that is that you don't have controlled differentiation, as it's called. So they're very volatile, what they can become. So what you want is, you want to have so what they use, let's put it like that, they use precursor cells, which are stem cells that are a little bit more differentiated, but not fully differentiated. So like differentiated cells cannot multiply very fast because they are finished in their growth process.
So it's like it's like a step before
Yeah,
that.
as I said before, so
And
precursors, so they're on their way too. So they have the property of they're a little bit differentiated, so they can become either a muscle cell or a bone cell,
yeah.
but they cannot become an eye cell. As a result, they cannot grow as fast, but still grow quite fast. So those cells you use, if we go really in the details. Yeah.
And you use them to, you let them kind of grow, and at some point you direct them if you want them to be an eye or if you want them to be a hamburger. Or...
Yeah, but so that's the problem. So you don't do that. So this is why you don't use the pure stem cells. You use like myosatellite stem cells that are like precursor cells.
All right, yeah. So you're using the satellite, and then what do you do with them?
You grow them as much as possible, as cheap as possible. And then you filter, and once they are differentiated, you filter them out of the fluid and you use them to create, there's two ways, right? So you can either create structured meat products or unstructured meat products. So unstructured meat products, you, let's say, use, so you don't grow the cells into structured tissue. So not like real muscle connective tissue, but more like you use the cells, you add like ingredients together. So you just use the proteins sort of to create meat and fat. So very important part is also the fat, because the animal fat makes the taste of the meat. So okay, but long story short, I look so that okay.
So unstructured is just the bottom line.
Yeah. So unstructured is you just use the cells or like little bits connected, but like not a full steak, right? A full steak is connected tissue, or like if we have.
Why would you do it unstructured? Because you want to have a structure in the end,
cheaper. Right? And there's a lot of technical challenges to make it structured.
But it's okay. You have the unstructured cells, which are not connected into any tissue. They don't. What do you do with them?
So the unstructured tissue?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you create hamburgers out of that. So you put everything together.
Okay. So you use the unstructured ones to create a hamburger, and what's the difference again between them and the structured ones?
So the structured ones, you have to how do you call that? That's if you create like real meat. So it's not cells anymore, but have complex caterpillars.
It's like a liver or something.
Flowing. You have like, maybe, indeed, live.
Or human. Can you create a human out of this?
I mean, ultimately, yes. So, but like, but you get my point. So the difference is between loose cells, roughly, or a full, how do you call that? The difference is, it's about the fluid. So in one circumstance, you have like a bioreactor with a lot of cells that get fluid from everywhere, which in there is transporting nutrients, oxygens, things like glucose, whatever. And the other, you create sophisticated functional tissue that transports the blood or transports the fluid to the cells. But that is very difficult, and we have so far the maximum depth or thickness is I think like a couple millimeters, like half a centimeter tops, that we can remove the cells from the top layer, which is attached to the fluid. Because it's
why is this important? Like why? I know you want to tell me what you're doing, but like just gonna dumb it down, because I know you can go really deep. We can talk for hours about this, but like kind of what's the concept? What are you doing? And
sorry. So like, so I looked at that because of the huge impact, because you can save 15% greenhouse gases, etc. But when I made all the calculations and talked to a bunch of smart people, I was like, this is too expensive. It will never happen. So even though that like,
well, that's what they probably said about the solar cells, right? Like it's probably gonna, the costs are gonna go down at some point. It's just right now it's fucking expensive, and like it's not worth your time maybe.
The difference is that here you have to win like several Nobel Prizes. So there are like, so for instance, like what Elon is doing, he does things.
Elon Musk,
he does things that are technically possible. They're already proven that it's possible. You can, like, I mean, rockets have been flown, cars have been made, and yes, then you have, okay, hey, creating one car is very expensive, but there you can actually go down through all the ingredients and
They're already there. Like it's not necessarily. It's more about bundling existing technology and refining it
yeah, but
versus.
from first principles, you can make arguments why you can decrease the costs. Here, you cannot do that. That's the big difference.
Okay, so are you saying that lab grown meat will always be really expensive? No, you're not saying
Yeah,
that.
so there's no early or clear path to to get to the cost. I've even I mean, that's my view at least.
Got it.
And the
So where's the pivot? What are you doing now?
so I noticed that this is not only the problem for, so I calculated this and experienced a lot of pain points in making these calculations, making these models, and the existing software only worked on the Windows desktop computers. I am being native in code, like I like to code, could not integrate any code with it. So and I realized that a lot of people were complaining about this. The German industry wrote a paper, the current software to model chemical processes is outdated and slow. We cannot integrate it in existing systems. Even when we make our models and like encode this, if create these virtual models, later on we have to redo all the work when we build our software infrastructure for the real factory. So you have the design phase, the operation phase. You have to redo all that stuff. And I ran a test. I asked a couple close friends of mine, and also signed up 30 strangers for my beta, and then I saw that this was a good move to make. So and I went into this pivot in about June.
So essentially, it's like AWS for labs to be able to.
I would not say for labs. It's actually in the stage later. So it's really on the manufacturing stage.
Okay, so if you had to, like, what's the punchline and what is the new thing?
So like, the way I call it now is developer infrastructure for chemical industries.
Okay,
but it's on the manufacturing level. So like one way to look at, so it's after the lab. So let's say you're a startup that makes lab cultivated meat. So you have made it in the lab, and now you need to move it to production, to commercial scale.
Yeah.
Or let's say my biomaterials, because lab cultivated meat will never work. Just kidding. I really think so. It will work better. But so and you want to move it to commercial production, and the first thing you start to do is design the factory. How many bio-reactors do you need? What is the temperature? What are the pressure levels that we need to reach? These kind of things, and how much will it cost? So what you use for that is process simulation software, and that software is super outdated and slow. And
okay, and so you having this going to the valley, did that somehow speed up your thinking, or like the potential of your success in this? Like, if you were sitting in Amsterdam trying to do this, would it have taken longer, or even like it would have been possible because you wouldn't have had access to the right people, and now having been in the valley for a few months, it like you working on this kind of became a reality that you're super into, and like things are pumping, and it's possible you're going to raise money soon? And like, what's the situation?
So being in the valley, I've never been so productive in my life. Never.
Even all the parties and shit.
Yeah, even I normally do that too, but like, so I think I partied once every 2 weeks, to be fair.
Only, all right, yeah, good for you.
And the other weeks I'm at the office, so I don't do fun stuff in the weekend. I'm at the office, and I'm actually every day at the office, and I come home at 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
No surfing on Santa Cruz
No,
beach,
I didn't. No, unfortunately,
none of that.
Unfortunately, no. I worked really hard.
And why do you have to? But I'm just because like for you to explain it, because I get it, like I've been there, right? But like, why was it you couldn't have grinded so hard? Because now everything is online, right? You can use Zoom, you can talk to, you have access to anyone. Why do you need to be in that room in San Francisco where like you're just going from the office to your house. You're not even like go
So sure, I could have done that in Amsterdam. I could have done
in
that.
Warsaw, whatever, right?
Yeah, I could have. So although this was way I was way more productive because you're with other techies around you. So otherwise,
Bouncing ideas around. So even though you're working on your own shit, like you're
different
still
technologies.
yeah.
Hey, I have this Python problem to solve. I'm building a product demo which I want to ship, but I have this bug. I don't know how to fix it. I'm working on it for 2 hours. Can you help me out? You know, these kind of things. On a smaller side.
Was there someone who like swept you away? You met a genius or
Oh, a bunch of.
yeah?
Yeah, people are like so. Yeah, you have the hacker types, right? Who are
Yeah, what is a hacker type?
so people that are really excited about uh building, and not even about building companies, but they're just
Tinkering, new shit.
yeah,
Like
tinkering. That's the right word. They just want to build that stuff, you know, like they want to build a robot that looks like badass and says and is controlled over the internet and says hello to people in Mountain View while they are sitting in a hacker dojo. They direct it to go to Mountain View downtown and say hello to people.
like
So that was mining illegal virtual gold on RuneScape, which is an online game.
yeah, fuck man, RuneScape. I haven't played that for like it's like and you're trying to get skins, right? All that stuff. Like
Yeah, no. So what we did is
some kids
it
got
was a business
suspended from
plan.
my school for like because they were like trading stuff and like parents got
Yeah,
involved.
exactly.
Wow, I
So,
forgot about that, man. Such a big thing.
but that was one of my first business plans because I saved up quite a substantial amount of money at the time, like 400 euros or something like that.
Yeah.
Bought a bunch of servers, installed RuneScape bots like macros that would automatically do all these tasks and masks and mine gold on that, and then resold the gold.
All good, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was that.
What do you think is like the what compelled you to be like because I know your siblings, right? Also were like or just people in general, like most people don't have that instinct to try see like how they can, play with the system and or game it
I
even
have
or
I've always had quite a problem with authority, and like I just wanted to go my own way. Um, I when I graduated, the teacher or the director at my school, so, actually, so I knew that because I never went to school. I was the person that went the least amount to school during high school, and I
because
knew.
you were playing RuneScape or
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
Yeah.
No, actually, just didn't. Like, I went even to school, but I was just smoking cigarettes in the schoolyard and making friends. Just don't go to class. What I did, because part of it is I just could focus better if I was. I I I learned better from reading or like doing than from listening, sort of.
Mm.
So that had parts to do with it, and everybody has their own. How do you learn best, for instance?
I just wanted to say, man,
Uh,
I similar to you, but without the actual learning, I just couldn't refocus at school. That's why I didn't go. But it doesn't mean that I actually did something with that time. Like if I went, like of course you want to do your best, but I would mainly no, I wouldn't skip school because I was an autodidact and like I would sit at home and read everything that's on the internet. Right, you have Wikipedia, you have so much access. I mean, I used the internet, right? I was on forums, but I wasn't actively trying to educate myself. So yeah, I was like 17. It hit me like, fuck, man, like you're wasting a lot of time and doing stupid shit. Like there is so much out there. You have access to all of it. And that's when I had this kind of kick where I realized like also just being surrounded by, I started surrounding myself with like, I guess, smarter and smarter people, and just realizing how much there is to know and like how much I want to be. There's kind of like FOMO or like I don't know, like I don't want to know. Like I don't want to be. I realize like being a dumbass or like someone who is kind of just out there like a happy go lucky guy.
yeah,
Um, it's not gonna last long, right? And like also, I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be the person who's just hanging around or. I just felt like I want to go big, you
I
know?
want to go big.
Yeah, like I just I wouldn't like I was actually associated with like the show Suits.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I watched like I started watching it like 2017. I watched like the first few episodes. Like a friend showed it to me or something, and just one scene where like this guy, what was his name?
Harvey
Harvey.
Specter.
Yeah, Harvey
Yeah.
Specter. Specter. Yeah, yeah. It's I have it right here. There you go.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. We can split it.
Sure, let's do it.
And he goes like, "Life is this." Right,
Life is this.
I own this,
I want
right?
this.
And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, he's chilling in his fucking condo in like somewhere in Manhattan, and like, and this whole show has this. Even though I'm not like, I wasn't into law, I didn't want to be a lawyer, or um, I kind of felt like, yeah, these people, and actually, I don't know if like looking back now, like if their life is like more interesting than, or it's just like they're wrapped up in their own shit, right? They're just lawyers in New York. They think everything is so important about what they do, but actually, like if you look, like you zoom out, like they just have like internal politics dealing with all this bullshit all the time. But still, it feels like they feel like it's something they're kind of on a different level, right? They get to meet
Yeah.
up with, they get to get like Knicks tickets from like Michael Jordan or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I also want to live or on that level, or at least I want to see, and I want to kind of, I want to see how far I can take my life versus just like giving up or not giving up. It was also, I was giving a lot by my parents and like, traveling and seeing the world. And I felt like, okay, I have all this. I can, find myself in a situation. I can make the best out of it.
Yeah, but that's very important.
Yeah. And I
But
was
it's
like,
very important
uh,
to be able to do that.
yeah, and I was like, I just don't like, okay, I can just settle on whatever I have, or I can always kind of like, just kind of go for fucking more. Why? I don't know. Like, am I seeking happiness? Not necessarily, right? Like, just like Paulie, right, in Sopranos, he's like, kid, like he's out of there's like this scene, he's talking about like, was he ever happy? Fuck no, but like he did what he had to do, right? And I don't think I'm searching for happening. I'm just searching for, um, I guess like we spoke about adventure, but also this feeling of like excitement about something, right? Having this kick in life and
Yeah.
like thinking that there is more to it. Um, so I see if it pays off. Like maybe it's just, but for now it's just like kind of like, yeah, let's see. Like, and that's why it's also this like, you mentioned risk. I think also opportunism and being like open for serendipity and just saying yes to shit. And
These are your life values: risk, serendipity,
yeah, just like
adventure.
and like I don't call them values, but
It's okay.
it's something.
Life principles. Or what do you optimize for? Of course, you optimize for happiness because everybody does.
Well,
But like, if you
nah, because like
no,
it's so ephemeral. No, it's like it's
really
yeah, because I think also like the unhappy moments are important in life.
okay,
I think I'm optimizing for
that's
discovery, like
interesting.
looking like kind of like looking at life as it's like a journey, right? Like and coming from like another universe or planet, whatever you're here for a very for a very short time, right?
Yeah,
And there's so much to see, like 8 billion people, right? Like what, like, all these continents, countries, races, and you have so little time. So I just want to discover it. I want to be in these places. I want to be in situations where I kind of can not only because some people like wanna or like feel like, hey, they're put in a certain place. This is their life, their reality. They can watch TV shows, they can read books, right? All that stuff. But
yeah,
they're gonna be in this paradigm.
yeah.
And I love being or like put in or like being able to discover different like ways of living. Like, oh, I'm gonna live for like a month or two in Zimbabwe and teach at a school there
Yeah,
and see how a
best
teacher.
decision ever. Best decision
I don't know,
ever.
yeah, but shit like this, and
Yeah.
it's just like, is it stable? No. Is it conducive to me being part of like some community? Or like, it's very important to be part of. I guess like as human beings are like being social, and it's like at some point I think it does. It's good to root yourself somewhere at least, or have
Yeah,
some community,
yeah,
because to build a network, right? Because we're social beings, and
yeah,
just like floating around like I've been doing for like years now.
yeah,
um I don't think this could last forever if I want to have also discover the other parts of life, which being like having a family, like deep relationships, having a partner in life, shit like this. But let's see. For now, it's just this is the thing that just like it's if I it's, this little like this little me in the back of my head just always going like fuck it, just do it, see what
Yeah, yeah,
happens,
yeah.
try.
But that has led you so far into great decisions. So cheers on that.
Let's see, but yeah,
I think so. I think that you have had enormously. You did a shit ton of cool stuff, man. Like
and,
especially like Zimbabwe. Like this is something you'll never forget. Like going back,
yeah,
there to really spend time at the school in the local community, which you say like which is one of your values or not values. I call it the values, but what do you optimize for? Like, so yeah, you try
I
to
guess I've
answer
been
it, but like,
rambling, like, but yeah, it's
yeah,
serendipity. What do you
what is it?
optimize for?
What does it mean? So
Like,
I can tell you, but yeah,
yeah, like what do you mean optimize for? Say like, okay, last night, right?
yeah,
I spent the whole day. I was like, I was reading. I went to work out, shit like this, and then I I had an option of like, I had dinner with my, we all here for Christmas now, right? So my
yeah,
family is here, my brothers, and so we sat down, had dinner, and I could have stayed and like they started watching some TV show, or go out and like go out for some drinks and meet up with like, you, Kodak, or whoever at a bar.
yeah.
And first, I was like, it's so nice here. I can just chill with them, stay at home. But then I thought, okay, guiding principle, like where serendipity, like say luck, where is there more room for luck? If I stay
But
there,
sorry, serendipitous means beautiful, right?
no.
No.
Serendipity is it's like it's like a different word for like luck or randomness. Like you and I had a serendipitous encounter. We at the airport and like
Okay.
I bump into you
Okay.
and suddenly you have this long conversation. And 2 years down the road, we're starting a business. Like, that's
Okay. So luck by chance, sort of. Lucky by chance,
yeah,
sort
exactly.
of.
That's yeah,
Okay.
you can put it that
Okay.
way. And
Okay.
yeah, maybe I should have defined it. So that's
Nice.
what yeah, so that's what,
Okay. So
and
so so it's creating opportunities. That's what it means.
yeah,
If you
basically.
optimize for and now I feel you because you say you optimize for serendipity, so you want to put yourself in a lot of lucky places, or like
Where is there the most chance for luck? And if I stayed
yeah,
back
yeah, yeah,
home, it would
okay,
have been fucking nice.
nice.
True. But yeah, but I told myself, no, I'm gonna go there and see what happens. Even though like I could have just said, okay, I've seen these guys yesterday where I was singing Christmas carols with Kodak the day before and like
Yeah,
with his family, and I was like, what else am I gonna, but then I went there and not only we had like really fun and like interesting conversations, but also I bumped into a few people that I haven't seen like for a year or two. We went to this bar, that bar. So yeah, it was and these conversations, like having these touch points and seeing these people, like it creates room for more and more luck because suddenly I got
awesome. Yeah,
invited
yeah,
to this
yeah.
shit. So
That's
what do
good.
you optimize for?
Yeah, um, so I write a lot, a shit ton. Like, and I follow the
What do you write?
so I follow the Stoic philosophy in the sense of a lot of reflection. I think you do that too, a bit, or not?
Yeah, I mean, I started journaling and
But so the way I do it, like I do every quarter, I think. I do like, okay, what is I update my life strategy. Is that weird?
no, no, no. It's like
Call it like that, but like I call it my life strategy, sort of, and
I was just checking the time. Sorry.
sure, no worries. If you're bored, just tell
No,
me.
no, no, no. I just had to. Yeah.
Okay, so I look at, okay, and but by the way, it's the top stays relatively the same because like um where do I optimize for? Yeah, I optimize for happiness, right? So okay, that's number zero, and I call it number zero because it doesn't really count. Now today I learned that that there's a different framework to think about that. Because you said um maybe you don't have to optimize only for luck or for happiness, and there's some truth into that because okay, whatever. So okay, what are the things that make me happy? What are the 5 things that on the long term, and I look at the long term, that I think that will make me happy? And I write those down, and I make my decisions against that. So like one of the things is I optimize for learning because for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's fun to learn your stuff and it makes me happy. But also, I think it's the best way to reach other goals in life, like being in a good economic situation, or learn about new things that you can do. So you increase your like knowledge and wisdom as well. So it's like great. I optimize for. I have called one of the things that I wrote down, live a life worth living. And what do I mean to that by that? Well, I mean by that is um, like you know, getting out there, like doing stuff, going to yeah, if you can go to Zimbabwe, create new experiences. Can be small or big ones. You can also go to the forest for a nice walk or climb a
Yeah, or
tree.
go to a bar and
Yeah,
talk to some stranger, right? But just
yeah,
expose
exactly.
yourself to
Yeah, but do
more.
it. Just do it and
Yeah.
do like, live a life worth living. And yeah, this kind of stuff. That's where I optimize my life for.
Strategy for life, you update it every 6 months, you said?
Yeah, I think more like every 3 months. And I spend like a lot of time on that.
What's the process?
I just write. I just keep writing, and I do it very logical because
But like you write what, like your stream of thought, or
yeah, but yes, but and I write. It's really geeky because I write it down in chapters, and then I say, and then I revise as if I would have to publish a
memoir?
yeah, sort of, but except for one that nobody will read, but I pretend that people might read
I
it.
did the same with my journal, yeah.
Yeah, I format it quite nicely, so that
I
I
don't do
can read.
that, but
What?
I don't do that, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of my geeky things. I format my documents. Nobody else will ever read.
What do
I
you edit the
format them
shit you wrote, or
perfectly.
like
Yeah. So like nice pictures.
you have
Uh,
pictures also?
yeah, and I do like the H1, the H2, like the subheader, the title. Like I make everything like
Notion, huh?
neat as fuck. And I'm very messy in everywhere else in my life, but like documents, they have to look very good.
But that's just how long is the strategy, and like how do you, or you said chapters? Do you also write like every day is a new chapter,
Oh,
or
yeah. So that's the other thing I do, right? So I also try to write in my reflection slash stoa and happiness diary every day. Yeah. But that's something else than my life strategy. My life strategy, I really take a couple days to reflect. Okay, what do I think is important in life? How have I been uh, working towards those goals? And what's yeah, so like so it's more like it's not a day to day, like how do I feel? It was more like how do I follow? Am I living the life that I want to live?
Mm.
And that helped me I don't know if I made the right decisions in life, but that helped me to make really bold and difficult decisions, like going to Silicon Valley or like moving from Poland.
Why
So
did you move here in the first place to Poland? Just kind of a little side note. So you came here, you had two companies, right?
yeah, so back then I only had one company, and it was Flimbo.com. And well, the
Buy
truth,
now, pay later flights kind of thing, right?
yeah, exactly. Well, the truth is, we were like, at that point, we didn't have any money. We were like, we raised money, but we spent it all. And we launched in the UK. We were in every newspaper in the UK, so that was great. Except for that, the booking platform didn't work. So, so we almost went bankrupt. Anyways, we got a small loan from one of the investors, and I moved to Wars, and was already picking up coding more and more in the months before that. But then I moved to Warsaw, recruited a software engineer, and rebuilt the whole platform from scratch in a year, which was built in the previous year by a much larger team of 10 people. That's how I learned to become a good software engineer. Thanks to him, actually, mostly
Yeah,
because I
I
could
wanted to
work.
also ask you about that because you're like, it's unusual for someone who is technical to also have that, I guess, charismatic side of like being. Also, you have your commercial wits, right? And you could be like
Hmm.
a CEO type and like a CTO type.
I hope so.
Yeah, where do you feel stronger and like what's the why do you think most people cannot achieve that? Because some people who are like extremely technical and good at coding, they need another person. They need a
Yeah,
co-founder to be help them out on the operational slash business side. And you seem to combine both.
true.
What's the
So
secret sauce?
I thought about it, but like where it comes down to is my superpower is at the always at the intersection of multiple things. So like I'm not the best coder, and I'm also not the best marketeer. But
You
for,
know enough about both to kind of be
yeah, but it compounds. So for instance, it's in flimmo.com or at Voinavajev, I
when
could
Avashev was like a fruit and
yeah,
veg
so exactly.
delivery business that you
So
yeah.
but like there we could grow, for instance, at Voinavajev, we could grow or like anyways, in both companies we could grow 35-40% per month because I understood um, coding, for instance, to build pricing algorithms to A/B test every price for every different customer, where so we could build an algorithm that puts different prices on the front page or different products even, and would optimize the right price for the right customer. And because of that, we could invest a lot of money in marketing because we knew we were profitable. So that was on the marketing skill side. And if because that was profitable, we could turn that flywheel super hard on.
Mm.
So I mean, that's how I self think about it. The point is like, so I started out not sort of non-technical, right? So I dabbled always in technology, but my favorite subject at school was history actually, and I was scheduled to go to. I had the profile, the direction in high school in the Netherlands. You have four profiles, either your physics or your economy or your health, or you go or your or languages, something like that. And I had the profile to do biology or to go to math school, and I was terrible at math actually. So I had to do after my high school, I had to do another math exam, which I barely passed. And yeah, so I had to learn. I crossed over from biology slash history into engineering, and ended up really liking it because yeah, because I got more and more into it, and I thought it was fun.
How do you keep a like how do you stay curious? Some people, you know,
Yeah, so
it's hard
so
to
that's actually a good point because by the way in coding specifically because things change so fast that which is also exciting. So if you don't know anything today and you would have to get a coder job, you could do it in 3 months because so there's a couple of reasons for that. Just because it takes 3 months because before you're somehow productive to have learned like the basics. It is people think that coding is much harder than it really is. It is actually easier than you think. So it takes 3 months to be productive and you can join a startup. It takes 2 years to be at 80% of the best in the world. Why? Things change. So the technology stack changes every 2 years. So you have
mm,
to constantly keep learning. So like when 5 years ago, most of the websites were being built in React was upcoming. It was upcoming. Not everything was built in React. A lot of things were built in Angular, which is the Google language. And React is the Facebook language. Nowadays, there's a new company, Vercel, Next.js, which took over the last 2 years, sort of. Why? It's much faster. It's like it's built on top of React, which is much
mm,
faster. But these are very complicated frameworks. Nowadays, you have like Svelte and Alpine.js, where you can use a couple lines of code to make the same website, but it's not clear if it will win yet. But it's like you write much easier and it has way higher performance, but the ecosystem is less developed, so you don't know if they will win. But like it's always it changes very fast. So you have to stay interested. But how do you stay interested? So I don't stay interested for the technology, I think. I stay interested because I want to achieve something, and that is why I learn the technology.
clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and I like it, right? I think it's fun, but I don't do it because I don't like it per se because I think Rust is interesting. So Rust is a backend language that is like super high performance. It's like C++, which is like more on the chip level or closer to the chip level.
Yeah.
But C++ was very old. It's very old data. There were no new languages in that, and now you have Rust. Rust works also on regular backends, by the way. And Rust is super fast and super secure. It's a horrible language to learn. I think it's a pain. I tried to do it like half an hour, an hour a day, but it's really it's not pleasant to write it. Although it is the favorite language of developers in the last 3 years in a row. So it's currently developers are raving about it. So everybody who can
Get on the
write Rust,
train,
they love
Vince.
it. And I don't like it. It's very difficult to
enough.
learn.
We went down a few rabbit holes and explored different ideas, but it's going back to the theme of being in the valley. Yeah, sure. It's right behind you, actually. It's right behind you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Just to kind of slowly wrap it up. We mentioned the valley and like you moving there for a while. What's your and like people who'd like to go there from Europe?
Yeah.
What's your advice for them?
So yeah, that's I think to make as many friends as possible. In short, actually.
And they should still go. If you can, you should still go. You think?
So it is not true that the valley is dead. No, the valley is more alive than it's ever been in the last 2 years. Like stuff is on. People are especially going back to the office. I think what Elon has done with Twitter has really changed the direction, sort of, because now everybody knows they have to be at the office. And everybody is like on. Everybody is like, okay, let's go. We have to.
The grind is on.
Yeah, there's a beer market. Like a lot of people's. It's a fresh start. Either the grind is on. The grind you have to like.
Yeah.
It's a different world, and everybody is going back to the office that want to perform, and the ones that do not. Yeah, to be fair, I see the people that want to perform also not per se in startups, but also like in their own research. They work like, let's say you work at Berkeley or Stanford, you work really hard, and even if you work alone, you work at the lab, and you're just you're on, you're doing it,
Totally.
Sorry, another fun part, what some people don't know, is like you have like several buildings close to Mountain View, and when you bike home, sometimes 3 o'clock at night, there's a suspicious large amount of lights on. Why? Because these are all programmers who are programming at night. And there's like lots of them. Like some buildings, you have like maybe 40%
Office
of the lights
buildings
are on.
or just
No, home building, apartment buildings.
yeah. I never got. I mean, everyone has their own
Or
like schedule in terms of when they work, but I never got that. But cool. Any other like apart from advice of people just going there, making friends, and actually kind of seeing it for themselves? Like any other kind of.
I didn't do that too much, by the way, but I should have. Like,
but you gotta work also, right? You said you went out once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just had to work. I just had, because I am alone right now. I'm like in a vulnerable part. Of
anyone who wants to join his team or looking for a co-founder, I know, like DM Vince.
Yeah, sure. I'm open to that, but I said that this time I want to bet myself. Like I just want to. My previous companies I did with other people, and I said, yeah, I want to make some bold things and just want to try out some things for myself.
Totally,
yeah. But I'm also always open to opportunity.
Is there any parting? Like I always ask the same question to kind of wrap it up. Any other like not necessarily just advice for people who want to go to the valley, but overall life advice that you keep telling to yourself, like a mantra or something that you would like to have known in the past, or just a general piece of advice that you think is very important for people to keep in the back of their head as they go through life?
Yeah, it sounds maybe cheesy, but I think push hard and be bold. So like, and I try to remind myself, and I'm not always doing that, and that's why I look up to you in many ways. Um, so one example is like
So you keep saying that. I'm just like,
but okay, I'll tell you an example. Like for instance, jumping off the bridge in on the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe. You jumped off, I didn't. I think that was like a great.
well, yeah, because like again, it's
Yeah.
I just don't think, and I was just like, okay, I'm here. It's like these guys like you can haggle with people. I remember I spent like half an hour talking to the guy trying to pretend that I come from like some buttfuck nowhere village in
Yeah.
Namibia, and like I want a discount, and like I paid like 3 times less than what I paid anywhere else. I was kind of also being just like, fuck it, I'm
What you
gonna.
did, I remember what you did. You said like,
It's a
"This is 40 euros. It is worth $75."
well, like yeah, because
Yeah.
like I mean, you make it sound like I mean whatever, and then I tipped him later, but like overall,
Yeah.
like he was just like I knew he's pulling my fucking leg because
Yeah, I know,
I'm a
yeah.
white tourist there.
Exactly.
But in the end, like I would see like, hey, you want to play games? Let's play games. And in the end, like I love these people, and I think we had a great time because it's like there are no rules over there, right? They're only guidelines,
Yeah.
and it's about that human connection. And even I spoke about this in my one of my previous guests about like
Yeah.
this concept of guangxi in China, where it's all about
Mhm.
relationships. We're all
Yeah.
human. You can have all the fucking rules you want to have, and like there's always room for negotiation. That's what I'm trying.
Just push hard and ask
Be
for more than
bold,
you can get.
yeah.
Be bold, that kind of thing. I think that's important. And
There's a whole book about this called "In Life You Don't Get What You Deserve, You Get What You Can Negotiate."
yeah,
It's just like if you're gonna wait for something to fall down on your lap and you're gonna be like, oh, like I really think I deserve this. I worked so hard. No one gives a shit that you worked hard. Like I'm
yeah,
sorry to tell you this. Like
yeah,
it's like that's why it's just like you gotta really take it yourself. And I'm like, as I said, like I have so many like I like be surrounding myself like with smart people like yourself or like who are
yeah,
more talented than me and whatnot, and I can keep up with because like in the end it's just what you want to take out of this, right? You just have one life and it's fucking yours. And of course, be mindful of other people, be kind, right? But also just be cognizant of like, it doesn't fall down from heaven. Like there are blessings that come down. There's serendipity and luck. Um,
serendipity. And now I finally understand it. By the way, okay. So normally, so I think it's super interesting that we did this podcast because I think a lot of people should do it because it's like a fun thing to do, and thank you for that.
yeah.
But it's also fun to look at this like 10 years from now or something like that. And when we look at it from 10 years from now, then we can say that this is the beginning from all the great stuff that will come
Yeah. Or the end.
next.
Let's see. You never know where life takes you, but hopefully the beginning of something big.
So are we closing it?
Yes, sir.
So we can
Yeah.
say, okay, can I close? You started, so I can
Yeah.
close.
You can
Okay.
take it away. Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. This is the takeoff to the next 10 years when we'll look back at this. Tony, it was amazing. Let's go.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Woo!
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Vincent Hus.
Yeah, goodbye.
All right.
Okay, that was fun.